is to tell you a little bit about, okay, we have these grand visions. How do we get there? What kind of policies do we need to get there? And obviously, we're hoping we can work with those of you who are on Capitol Hill and your bosses to help develop and enact the policies to get us on this pathway. Well, it's worth a moment. You know, we're talking about 140 million vehicles off the road from a carbon standpoint, 500,000 jobs, 4 trillion gallons of water saved, and according to T. Boone Pickens, a 38% reduction in the amount of foreign oil we import in this country, which has tremendous national security and economic repercussions. So big stakes here, big stuff involved. It's about, as Jim Walker mentioned, today we're perhaps a little over 1%. The electricity, this slide, the left side of the grid is the aggregate capacity, and the right side is the installed capacity. On an annual basis, the bars going up are on an annual basis. What you see is we have to ramp up how much we're doing each year pretty dramatically. We are, as Jim mentioned, ahead of the curve right now. We are on the 20% pathway. We are ahead of the 20% pathway, but we need to do better. As you can see, we have to continue to grow to reach a cumulative total of over 300 gigawatts, 300,000 megawatts. And really at its peak, we're doing on the order of 16 gigawatts a year. So that's the challenge. That's where we need to go. This chart shows two things. First of all, it shows about where we are now in terms of what we're doing on an annual basis. And Jim touched on this as well. As you can see, we saw a dramatic increase in 2007 when we were at 35% of the new electrical capacity in this country. 2008 is going to be a good year. We think it'll be as good as 2007, probably better. What will happen in 2009? As you can see from this chart, when the production tax credit is not renewed, the level of wind energy development declines dramatically, over 90% in 2000, well over 70% in 2002 and 2004. But given 4 consecutive years of a production tax credit, we are seeing and have seen consistent, strong growth. And I think we'll see that in 2008. 2009, whatever we get in 2009 will be less than it would have been had the PTC been renewed in the spring. And the reason for that is the investment decisions are being made today for projects going online in 2009, and there is a reluctance, as you might imagine, on the part of many investors to put money down when they don't know what tax policies are going to apply. People want to know what the financial world they're operating in looks like. So right now we have a lot of uncertainty. I'm hopeful we'll get there on the tax credit. It is critical. It's a policy that works. You could consider this an experiment. I'm pointing here. Obviously, I should point over there. That's the big chart. But when you turn it off, wind energy goes down, you turn it on, it goes up. So we need the production incentive. We need it for a long term so that there can be planning that provides for stability and allows investors to make decisions not just on an annual development basis but on a manufacturing basis. We'll come back to that, but if you want to build a manufacturing facility, you want to know the market's going to be there 2 years, 5 years, 10 years out. So the level of I just want to be clear, the production tax credit, this is not a controversial item. I know it's been a bit of a struggle, but we don't have people opposing us. I can't think of another issue where you have allies that range from Greenpeace and Sierra Club on the left to the Edison Electric Institute, the National Association of Manufacturers, the National Association of Rural Electric Cooperatives on the right. So it is an issue that we're hopeful we're going to get there, but there is very broad support. This is not controversial stuff. Things get a little more difficult as we move down the pike to a national renewable standard. 26 states today have a standard mandating a certain percent of electricity come from renewable electricity sources. As I'm sure you're all aware, a 15% renewable electricity standard passed the House in the summer of 2007. A national electricity standard, renewable electricity standard did pass the Senate in past Congresses, not this Congress. There are all kinds of statistics in terms of studies that have demonstrated greater than $100 billion in consumer savings, largely through decreases in natural gas pricing by reducing the demand pressure for using natural gas to generate electricity. So we're comfortable that a national renewable standard would save consumers money on a substantial level. More than that, we're looking at increasing our domestic energy production. There are national security ramifications. We think this is a policy that makes sense. We're going to continue to advocate it strongly. And the most important place where this makes a big difference, once again, is manufacturing. We have moved in this industry from a situation where 2 years ago, 30% of the new wind development was powered by equipment and components that were produced domestically. Today that number is closer to 50%. If we had a national renewable standard and we knew we were going for we had a market that was going to be out there through 2020, which is the kind of dates that we're looking at in the current proposals, the manufacturers would know that market's going to be there, and we would be seeing a dramatic increase in new manufacturing. This is not just a rhetoric or a hollow promise. Since the beginning of 2007, 28 new manufacturing facilities. When you build a wind industry manufacturing plant to make turbines, an assembly plant is like an auto assembly plant. You have hundreds of sub-suppliers on the average of 400. That's a lot of manufacturing. It's a lot of jobs. And right now today, I would think it would be very difficult to identify another area of economic growth that can match what the wind industry has contributed in a very down economy since the beginning of 2007. And I think that's important, and the best way to help boost those numbers right off is with the National Renewable Standard. The challenge that we face to get to the 20% level is really to harness the tremendous wind potential we have in this country in areas where we don't currently have the structure to bring the electricity to where the people live. So as you saw on that map Jim Walker put up there, tremendous resource in the upper Midwest and the northern part of the Rocky Mountain West, going straight on down through the center of this country and into Texas. How do we get there? We need a structure that provides for moving that electricity to where the people are. I think Jim put this map up as well. This was produced by American Electric Power. But it does show a green transmission superhighway. We need something like the interstate highway system, but devoted to transmission, that can help us and do this for the national good. Right now, all these decisions are made on a state-by-state basis. We need some kind of national overlay to help us get there. This is a critical component of getting it done, and a critical part of the climate change agenda in the end to get where we need to go is going to have to be building the transmission to bring electrical capacity, clean, renewable electricity from the windy areas of the country to the populated areas of this country.
Longer term, we are going to need some sort of valuation for the aspect that wind energy, solar energy, geothermal energy does not produce any carbon whatsoever. And there are all kinds of ways to do that, but we need climate change legislation to put a value on producing carbon-free energy and to encourage the development of that energy over the next decade or so. And that's critical. So if you